ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी निशबानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यईश्वरम्. Wonderful. Thank you, Bhimesh Prabhu. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to share my screen. Can you all see my screen? I guess yes. Okay. So we are starting a new series today, Nectar of Devotion. We just finished Nectar of Instruction last week. We are starting with Nectar of Devotion, a very deep subject. Like sometimes we say, grow up now. So that's now it's a time for us to grow up. This is going into the details of bhakti, and how can we become more sincere in bhakti. So this is a book which can take you to a very higher level, and that's where I really was eager to start this book, so that we can actually take this bhakti very seriously and make this as our life and soul, and the goal of life to actually attain love of Krishna. So this is again Rupa Goswami, whose book we were reading, Nectar of Instruction, which we finished. Now this is Nectar of Devotion. This is as big as Bhagavad Gita, maybe a little more, but very detailed. Not that they can be compared. Bhagavad Gita is preliminary study which we did, and now we want to go in detail in terms of how do I perfect my life. So I wanted to start with the introduction. So let me go back here. No, not the screen. Yeah. So introduction is invoking auspiciousness. That's basically it's bringing, surcharging everything with pure goodness. Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the reservoir of all rasas. Rasas are different kind of relationship with Krishna, right? Which are called as neutrality, which is passive adoration. This is considered as Shantya ras. So even spiritual world, there are birds, there are animals, there are trees. All those are actually eternal living entities, but they want to please Krishna. And those are considered in the mode of, or in the relationship of Shantya ras. That's one of the rasa. Above that is a servitorship, Dasya rasa. What is Dasya rasa? You see, Vaikuntha, everyone is serving Lord Vishnu. Even Mother Lakshmi is serving Lord Vishnu. So even in Golok Vrindavan, there are few devotees who are servant of Krishna. So they are in servitorship. Next level is friendship, sakhas. Above that level is parenthood. And above that was conjugal love, which is Srimati Radharani and other gopis. And now they can have different rasas within them, which is comedy. So all these five rasas, which I talked about, Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, and Vatsalya ras and Madhurya ras. These five rasas again can have comedy, compassion, fear, chivalry, ghastliness, wonder, and devastation. So they all these rasas can contribute this also. He is a supreme attractive form, and his universal and transcendental attractive feature, he has captivated all the gopis, headed by Taraka, Palika, Shama, Lalita, and ultimately Srimati Radharani. This is very important to understand who are the Sakhis. Let his lordship grace be on us so that there may not be any hindrance in the execution of duty of writing the nectar of devotion. One of the most important quality of any writer, you see their quality of humility. They are always thinking, I am not qualified to write this, somehow seeking blessings from everyone. Like there is a book called as Chaitanya Charitamrita, which was written by Krishnadas Kaviraj at the age of 95. Can you imagine? He was literally blind from his eyes. And his hands were shivering, but he was asked to write. And he said, who am I to go to write? I am just being an instrument. So that's what is the mood here. Impelled by his divine grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Prabhupada. This is the introduction by Prabhupada, whose guru is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, who is the actual author. The the Hindi name or Sanskrit name is Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu, the English name is Nectar of Devotion, by whose inspiration I have been engaged in the matter of compiling this summary study of Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. This is the sublime science of devotional service is propounded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appeared 500 years ago in West Bengal. We discussed multiple times about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I guess you all are aware of who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Rupa Goswami begins his great book by offering his respectful obeisances into Sri Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami is actually elder brother of Rupa Goswami. So there are six Goswamis whose photo you will always see in every ISKCON temple. Starting with Prabhupada and then going towards the rightmost side, there are six personalities. Sri Rupa, which is Rupa Goswami. Sri Rupa, Sri Sanatana. Sanatan Goswami is the guru of Rupa Goswami and elder brother of Rupa. Sri Rupa, Sri Sanatana, Bhatta Raghunath Bhatta Goswami. Sri Rupa, Sri Sanatana, Bhatta Raghunatha, Sri Jiva Goswami, Gopala Bhatta Goswami, Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta, Raghunath Das Goswami. These are six very profound Goswamis, and there are more, but these are six considered within. And Sanatan Goswami is actually the elder brother of Rupa Goswami, and he's offering, who is elder brother and spiritual master, and he prays that Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is nectar or devotion, may be very pleasing to him. He further prays that by residing in the ocean of nectar, Sri Sanatan Goswami may always feel transcendental pleasure in the service of Radha and Krishna. Everyone in Bhakti is there to enhance other person's bhakti and enhance their bhakti so that everyone can come closer to Krishna. Why are we here studying together? So that we can help each other to go and develop that rasa for Krishna. Otherwise, there is no preaching program, right? What is preaching program is all about. I want to enhance my bhakti by reading and again summarizing, discussing these things, and you also coming together with me. Actually, we all inspire each other to go one step closer to Radha Krishna. Right? Can someone read this? Bimesh Prabhu, you want to read this? My throat is not in great shape.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the great devotees and acharyas, holy teachers, who are compared to sharks in the great ocean of nectar, and who do not care for the various rivers of
I'll
liberations.
pause here. Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. This is very important. You see, ocean, when the rivers come and submerge into the ocean is not affected. Ocean is not affected. So similar thing, because ocean, even the animals within the ocean is not affected. So this is what is being spoken. Please go ahead, Prabhu.
Impersonalities are very fond.
Impersonalists. Yeah.
Impersonalists are very fond of merging into supreme, like rivers that comes down and merges into the ocean. The ocean can be compared to the liberation, and the rivers to be all the different parts of liberation. The impersonalists are dwelling in the river water, which eventually come to mix with the ocean. They have no information, however, that within the ocean, as within the river, there are innumerable aquatic living entities. The sharks who dwell in the ocean do not care for the rivers that are gliding down into it. The devotees eternally live in the ocean of devotional service, and they do not care of the rivers. In other words, those who are pure devotees always remains in the ocean of transcendental loving services to the Lord, and have no business with the other process, which are compared to the rivers that only gradually come to the ocean.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
One thing we talked about it being in the world and off the world, not that you have to go outside the world to practice bhakti. How can we practice bhakti while living in this world? And this is where a most important aspect is. For an example, we don't love our job, we don't live for our job. Am I making sense? We
Yes,
live
yes.
for our family. Job is there which is going to support however living we have to do that, but I don't live for my job. Am I making sense?
Correct.
Similar way, our heart is with Krishna. Whatever we are doing, our devotional life is actually the core part. Whatever extra we are doing is to support bhakti, not that bhakti is to support whatever material life. So, karmi, jnani, what they do is whatever, especially karmi, what they want to do is they want to complement bhakti to their material life. Am I making sense? What does that mean? Whatever is missing in my life, I want to go and pray to God so that He can provide me so that my material life enhances. Our formula is that we want to practice spiritual life and we want to make sure we are not having hindrances in bhakti, of course, because it just we are on the bodily platform, we need to maintain this body. So whatever connection we have with this material world is to complement bhakti, not that bhakti does the complement to material life. Right, this is the most important part. Next paragraph, bro.
Srila, Srila Rupa Goswami prays to his spiritual master Srila Sanatana Goswami for the protection of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of pure nectar of devotional service, from the argumentative logicians who unnecessarily meddle in the science of service to the Lord. He compares their arguments and logic to the volcanic eruptions in the midst of the ocean. In the midst of the ocean, volcanic eruptions can do very little harm, and similarly, those who are against devotional service to the Lord and who put forward many philosophical these about the ultimate transcendental realization cannot disturb their great ocean of devotional service.
So they may cause the trouble, and this is very important. And why we are bringing to nectar of devotion, whatever turbulations we had in our heart, lot of questions about what devta to worship, why should we do that, why should I offer to God. We covered all that stuff in Bhagavad Gita. We clarified our concept, what has to happen. Now, when I clear that stuff, I'm not on arguments thinking about why should I chant, why should I do that. We have crossed over that stage, right? So this is what is being talking about the next step. Go ahead, Proji.
The author of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami, very humbly submits that he is just trying to spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. Although he humbly thinks himself unfit for this work, that should be the attitude of all preachers of the Krishna consciousness movement. Following in the footsteps of Srila Rupa Goswami, we should never think of ourselves as great preachers, but should always consider that we are simply instrumental to the previous acharyas, and simply by following in their footsteps we may be able to do something for the benefits of suffering humanity.
Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Why do we recite such a long prayer before starting a class?
Ajnana.
Is to actually seek the blessing, seek the presence of all the Acharya, that please empower us. We are embarking on a great journey, a very long journey, very difficult journey of understanding secrets which are happening in spiritual world, and we are inviting them, please enlighten us so that we can actually realize this knowledge from a perspective of devotion, not perspective from intelligence. And that's a very important attitude one has to have, irrelevant of whoever is speaking. They always consider themselves, I'm considering myself to be useless, that somehow by the mood of the acharyas, we are trying to communicate and talk and discuss about this highest topics of Radha Krishna. Naresh Prabhu, would you mind reading next paragraph? Are you okay to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is divided into four parts, just as the ocean is sometimes divided into four parts, and there are different sections within each of these four divisions. Originally, in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean is divided like the watery ocean into east, south, west, and north, while the subsections within these different divisions are called waves. As in the ocean, there are always different waves, either on the eastern side, the southern side, the western side, or the northern side. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu similarly has different waves. In the, in the first part, there are four waves. The first being a general description of devotional service. The second concerns the regulative principles for executing devotional service. And the third wave, devotional service in ecstasy. In the fourth is the ultimate goal, love of God. These will be explicitly described along with their different symptoms.
Beautiful. And this is where I was talking about. The first part is talking about general description of devotional service to connect our dots to whatever we have studied. But it goes way, way beyond that. The second concerns the regulative principle of executing devotion, what we should do and what we shouldn't do elaborately. And third part is even crescendo. How can we practice bhakti in ecstasy? Today, if I get $1 million, that's my ecstasy. Or I get the job of 500K a salary, that's my ecstasy. So the material concept of our life or material success actually brings us ecstasy. But that is not what spiritual life is all about. Spiritual life is about experiencing the spiritual ecstasy, which is not which is something we cannot connect to. And that is what we will be learning. How can we practice devotional service in ecstasy? And fourth is ultimate goal, not the goal. Ultimate goal is to love of God, developing love for Krishna, developing love for Radha Krishna. And how do we achieve that part? Wonderful. Mamita Mataji, are you comfortable reading the next paragraph?
Or I can read, Prabhu.
Yes.
The authorized description of bhakti or devotional service following in the footsteps of previous acharyas can be summarized in the following statement by Srila Rupa Goswami. First class devotional service is known by one's tendency to be fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, serving the Lord favorably. The purport is that one may also be in Krishna consciousness unfavorably, but
Mhm.
that cannot be counted as pure devotional service. Pure devotional service should be free from the desire for any material benefit or for sense gratification, as these desires are cultivated through creative activities and philosophical speculations.
Pause here, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Very important part. When we are practicing devotional service, there is a gradient there. One is a pure devotional service, which is called as unmotivated devotional service. Second is a motivated devotional service. So, a lot of times, when we go through difficulty or we have some hindrance, we expect that the bhakti is going to counteract our problems. It will help me to do that. This is called as motivational bhakti. But unmotivated bhakti is what I do not expect anything. I just want to please Krishna. I just want to do everything I'm doing for the pleasure of Krishna, whether I am preaching, whether I'm reading, whether I'm hearing, whether I'm singing, whether I'm cooking, whether I'm whatever activities I'm doing in devotional service, zero expectation from anyone. I'm not thinking, when I stop thinking, oh, look at me, people are saying what, someone comes to me and say that, what a beautiful class you gave. I'm not thinking, oh, look at me, I gave a class. Am I making sense?
Yes.
We are just an instrument, and Krishna is using us as actually a medium to preach Krishna consciousness or do whatever activities we are doing. Beautiful, Prabhu. Can you move forward from there generally?
Generally, people are engaged in different activities to get some material profit, while most philosophers are engaged in proposing transcendental realization through volumes of word jugglery and Speculation. Pure devotional service must always be free from such creative activities and philosophical speculations. One has to learn Krishna consciousness or pure devotional service from the authorities by spontaneous loving service.
Beautiful. One has to learn Krishna consciousness or pure devotional service from the authorities of spontaneous loving service. What is spontaneous loving service? Spontaneous means I do not need a medium anytime. There was a beautiful devotee whose name was Mukunda Dutt. So he was actually a physician, a physician, and he was at that time, actually there were Nawabs ruling, Mughals. So he was actually the doctor of the Nawabs. One time he was called by Nawab Hussain. Nawab Hussain called him saying that, oh, you know what, my pitta is giving me a problem. I'm not able to sleep. I have a severe headache. Can you please solve? I know you, I cannot rely on anyone else. You know perfectly what has to be done. And then he took his nadi and then said, oh, you know what you have to take and what you have to take care of. And at the time, actually, one of the assistant came of the Nawab, and he had a peacock feather, this thing, the fan. The moment Mukunda that saw, he fainted there. He fainted there. And then the king was worried what happened, and all of they started to make him, just wake up,
Awake.
wake up. So yeah, make him awake. And then when he came out on the consciousness, the king asked, what happened all of a sudden, you fainted, everything okay? He said, yeah, I have a problem of epilepsy. I sometimes, lose my consciousness. The king started laughing. He said, my dear Mukunda, I know you very well. When you saw just the peacock fan, you remembered Krishna and you went into trance, you went into ecstasy. And in that ecstasy, you fainted. You are such a wonderful devotee of the Lord that you cannot actually fathom just seeing those, just seeing this external things, but connection with Krishna, you are just fainting. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, one time there was a sand dune. There was actually a sand mountain. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rushed toward it thinking, this is Govardhan, this is Govardhan, this is Govardhan. Again, he is Krishna, but this is spontaneous. You just see everything in this world around you, remembering Krishna, connecting it to Krishna. This is the beauty, right? That's what we are talking about. Next paragraph, Prabhu, you want to read?
This
Yeah,
devotional service is a
Sorry.
sort of cultivation. It is not simply inaction for people who like to be inactive or
Hmm.
devote their time to silent meditation.
Pause here. Very important. Devotional service means activity, not that, oh, I'll close my eyes and I'll sit there. That's not, these are Gyanis. We don't perform Gyani here. We don't do meditation here. What we do here is devotional service. How can I please Krishna? How can I cook for Krishna? How can I do this for Krishna? How can I do that for Krishna? That is our consciousness all the time.
Actively working.
Actively working for Krishna. Yes, Prabhu, go
There are
ahead.
many different methods for people who wants this, but cultivation of Krishna consciousness is different. The particular word used by Srila Rupa Goswami is this connection in Anusilama,
Anushilana.
Anushilana,
Wonderful.
or cultivation by following the
Predecessors.
predecessors, teachers,
Yes.
acharyas. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to the activity. Without activity, consciousness alone cannot help us. All activities may be divided into two classes. One class may be for achieving a certain goal, and the other may be avoiding some unfavorable circumstances. In Sanskrit, these activities are called pravrutti and nivrutti,
Do and don'ts, yes.
positive and negative actions. There are many examples of negative actions. For instance, a diseased person has to cautious and take medicine in order to avoid some unfavorable illness.
Beautiful. This is self-explanatory. Naresh Prabhu, next paragraph.
Those who are cultivating spiritual life and executing devotional service are always engaged in activity. Such activity can be performed with the body or with the mind. Thinking, feeling, and willing are all activities of the mind. And when we will to do something, the activity comes to be manifest by the gross bodily senses.
Pause here, Prabhuji. I mentioned a beautiful story sometime back in Bhagavad Gita class about a sadhu who was near the Narmada river. He didn't have a money, but he wanted to make a kheer for the Lord. Anybody remember that story? Okay, no problem. Naresh Prabhu, you remembered?
Almost, he doesn't have anything. Maybe just correct me if I'm wrong, Prabhuji, but he just assume himself like what he needs to put. Then no, Krishna, he really had that. It's not. It's about all about the his intention. It's not like whether you have the things or not. Maybe I
Amazing.
think that is what I hear, Prabhu. Maybe.
No problem. No problem. I'll enhance whatever you both said. There was a one very devoted Brahmana living near Narmada river. He had a desire. I want to make condensed milk. I want to make the paisam. I want to make the kheer for the Lord. And he have no money. He's a beggar. He's just a sadhu roaming here and there, just begging from people. But he closed his eyes and in his meditation he wanted to make that kheer. He went to the market, got golden vessels. He got the chandan wood, the best wood, and then he got milk. He got rice. He got kesar. He got cardamom. He got sugar, and the top class milk he got. And then he started making kheer for the Lord. And when kheer was made, he wanted to make sure the tongue of the Lord is not burned. So he wanted to make sure it's not hot. And he put his finger to see if the kheer is not hot. But the kheer was hot. His finger got burnt and his meditation broke. And when his meditation broke, his finger was burned. You understand? This is exactly the meaning of engaging our body, mind, and soul in thinking, feeling, and willing. All the activities. What are the three functions of the mind?
Thinking,
Thinking,
feeling,
feeling,
and
and
willing.
willing. First, how does mind starts doing anything?
Start
First, it
thinking,
starts thinking.
then act, feeling.
And now you start thinking, oh, how would I feel if I had that? For an example, I want to have samosa. So first is thinking, can I have
Imagination will
samosa?
first think.
Now feeling how the samosa will taste.
Correct.
And willing is I want to run and get that samosa. So this is mind's business. If you have, I don't have a controlled mind, please forgive me about it, but I just want to spell out. If we have an ability to stop even after thinking, we could actually stop doing all nonsense, because the feeling and willing is the place where you get into the action. But when you stop at thinking, even if the thought comes, you spit at it, and that's where the things grow, right? Can you move forward, Prabhu, reading next one?
Yes, Prabhu. Thus, in our mental activities, we should always try to think of Krishna and try to plan how to please him, following in the footsteps of the great acharyas and the personal spiritual master. There are activities of the body, activities of the mind, and activities of speech. A Krishna conscious person engages his words in preaching the glories of the Lord. This is called kirtana, and by his mind, a Krishna conscious person always thinks of the activities of the Lord as he is speaking on the battlefield of Kurukshetra or engaging in his various pastimes in Vrindavana with his devotees. In this way, one can always think of the activities and pastimes of the Lord. This is the mental culture of Krishna consciousness.
Very nice. There is another pastime I want to share. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to go to Vrindavan, and there was One brahmachari, Narsimha brahmachari, he was not there where Lord Chaitanya is walking to Vrindavan. In the mind, he got to know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to Vrindavan. What he did, he closed his eyes, decorated the whole path with beautiful, fragrant, soft flowers, so that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu walks on them rather than his feet getting hurt by a stone or a rough road or whatever it is. He could build the road till Kanan at Shala. That's another place. But after that, he wasn't able to build the road. Somehow he was trying, but he wasn't able to build the road. Lord Chaitanya went to Kanan and Shala and came back. He did not go to Vrindavan. This is the mental connection. When a devotee reaches to an extent of bhakti, his mind becomes one with Krishna's mind. Not that one means merging of this
No,
Mayavadis.
no, no.
One means he's thinking what Krishna is thinking.
Thinking of him always.
Correct. One time, I want to share this my personal experience. I was there in Saturday after Mangala Aarti program, and I was after the Govindam Adi Purusham, we welcome the Lord. I have a habit of singing bhajan, so I started singing bhajan.
Hmm.
Yugul Kishore Prabhu came and told me, "No, sing Hare Krishna Kirtan." Nityanand Prabhu and Gaurang Prabhu are looking to you to sing Kirtan. Sing Hare Krishna Kirtan, not the bhajan. Can you imagine? He knows the mind, he knows the heart of the deities, what they are thinking. This is bhakti. This is the highest level of rasa one can experience, understand. Sometimes, multiple instances, deities tell them, this is not right. And they tell, oh, multiple times it happened. For an example, Yugal Kishore Prabhu corrected, no, this is not how it should be done. And then he came, beg forgiveness. I gave you correction. I got a lot of chastisement from Radharani. This is the level of Krishna consciousness one can go through. These devotees can read the mind of other devotees, what is going on in their heart. Can you imagine? One time, Prabhupada, one Mataji actually, she gave a class here and in our temple. She's Prabhupada disciple. So she was telling, I was sitting for the prasad, and the servant was giving the prasad, whoever was distributing the prasad. I wanted two puris, or I wanted three puris, or whatever he just gave, and I was thinking, I wish I would get another puri. Prabhupada said, you want more puri? Take the puri. And everyone, a lot of devotees were
Reading
afraid
them.
because Prabhupada would read their
In the
mind.
mind. Hmm.
One time, there was a thief who actually, Prabhupada was having someone gifted him Rolls Royals. What the Rolls Royals? What is that watch? Rolls Royals, is that the right? Is that right, Naresh Prabhu? What do we say?
Rolex.
Rolex, yeah, sorry, thank you, Prabhu. Rolex, not that's a car, I guess.
Mhm.
So this thief actually saw Prabhupada was outside, and then he saw that Prabhupada had this, and with that intention, he joined the temple. He was serving, he shaved his head, he was attending the morning program, but his thought, if I get an opportunity, I'll steal this watch. One time,
Hmm.
he Prabhupada was speaking to him, and he was there, just Prabhupada and him. And he was thinking, if Prabhupada looked on the other side, I'll steal the watch or something. He was just meditating on that. Prabhupada removed the watch. This is what you were looking for. And this person was just completely mm,
Changed, I think.
changed. And he actually became a great devotee. This is the power of pure devotee. That is what I was asking about. Go ahead, Naresh Prabhu, read the next one.
Yeah. Similarly, similarly, we can offer many services with our bodily activities, but all such activities must be in relationship with Krishna. This relationship is established by connecting oneself with the bona fide spiritual master, who is the direct representative of Krishna in disciplic succession. Therefore, the execution of Krishna consciousness Krishna conscious activities with the body should be directed by the spiritual master and then performed with faith. The
Pause here,
yeah,
Prabhuji.
bro.
This is very important. There is a beautiful verse. It says, what is that? Give me what I struggle with remembering verses. Give me a second. Guru Krishna Kripa Paye Bhakti Lata Bij I can't remember the first line. What is that? By the mercy of Guru, one gets the seed of devotion and one gets Krishna. And by the mercy of Krishna, one gets Guru. This is a very important part. So ultimately, we all have to come to a conclusion that I want to now practice sincerely and I need the guidance of spiritual master. And identifying the the process actually to take a shelter of the spiritual master and start to decide to move forward. What is the purpose of connecting to a guru? Like it is mentioned in disciplic succession, means the guru's guru. So guru's guru ultimately goes to Krishna. And when you take the shelter of a guru, you come into disciplic succession, which means starting from Krishna, all the gurus are there to protect you. I'll tell you my personal story. So, my wife Nayan Sundari, when she was in literally coma, you would call it, as she was on ventilator, and there is a concept of healing. We may not know it, but I also got to know at that time the healing is done remotely. You don't have to be physically there to that person. So there were very highly achieved healers who were doing healing from various parts of the world. And this is one person whom I never met, but she is part of our ISKCON. She is disciple of another guru. She lives in Vrindavan. Very highly advanced person. She would do healing for her. She said, whenever I try to heal her, I see her spiritual master sitting next to her. This is Guru Parampara. One time, this is after lung transplant. This is in 2018. So after the lungs are installed, or whatever you say, lungs are put into the body, they don't start working directly, and doctors don't want the lungs to be, just a shock all of a sudden start working. So they put on ECMO. That's a bypass. Your whole body is bypassed by a machine, and the machine takes the blood and then all that stuff transfer into the heart and all that stuff. So she is completely sedated, very high level of sedation. When she came out of it, when she opened her eyes and when she started speaking, she said, I saw all the gurus were there. They came to my bed, near my bed, and they were doing kirtan for me. And I was telling her, Nayan Sundari, nobody was there. I've been here for the entire time. Nobody came here. No, I saw my spiritual master. I saw this guru, saw this guru, I saw this guru. I saw one by one, she's quoting different devotees, different Maharaj's name. They were there. They were doing Sankirtan on the street. I wanted to go. They came here to see me. No, they did not come to see me. This is Guru Parampara. This is real. Go ahead, Prabhu, read further.
The connection with the spiritual master is called initiation. From the date of initiation by the spiritual master, the connection between Krishna and a person cultivating Krishna consciousness is established. Without initiation by a bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed.
Beautiful.
Mm.
Without Guru, no one can get Krishna. This is a bullet line. Not that I'm trying to put you guys hanging straight, but I'm trying to inspire you that you come to the stage, understand that the goal of life is not to make millions of dollars. The goal of life is to not take care of the family. The goal of life is not to have bank account with filled with money, properties, investment, and all that stuff. You will go empty handed. Nothing will go with you. The only thing which comes with you is bhakti. And who can give you bhakti? Guru can give you bhakti, Krishna. Why? Because Guru tells Krishna, I am taking. Wow, like sometimes when you take a loan, you don't have enough credit score, and this you need a guarantor. You need a guarantor who will confirm saying that, I'll be the secondary loan applicant.
Responsible.
If something goes wrong, Guru is like that, the guarantor. He makes sure that all the obligations to please Krishna are taken care by this devotee. And that's why Guru is very important. Bhimesh Prabhu, read this one.
This cultivation of Krishna consciousness is not material. The Lord has three general energies, namely the external energy, internal energy, and marginal energy.
We read
We
that in
have read
Bhagavad
in
Gita.
Bhagavad Gita.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
yes.
The living entities are called marginal energy, and the material cosmic manifestation is the action of the external or material energy. Then there is spiritual world, which is the manifestation of the internal energy. The living entities, who are called marginal energy, perform material activities when acting under the inferior external energy. And when they engage in activities under the internal spiritual energy, their activities are called Krishna consciousness.
Beautiful. Arjuna is fighting, Duryodhana is fighting. Both are apparently fighting the same war. But Arjuna is Krishna conscious, Duryodhana is not. Because what it counts is the thought, what is your intention behind it. The activities don't differ, it's the consciousness would differ. I also cook, someone else also cook, third person also cook, but a difference
How
between the
intensively we have cooked.
exactly for whose pleasure I'm cooking. This is the key, right? That is the consciousness of spiritual or material. Go ahead, Prabhu, read this.
This means that those who are great souls or great devotees do not act under the spell of material energy, but act instead under the protection of spiritual energy. Any activities done in devotional service or in Krishna consciousness are directly under the control of spiritual energy. In other words, energy is short of strength, and this strength can be spiritualized by the mercy of both the bona fide spiritual master and Krishna.
Beautiful. Read next one, Naresh Prabhu.
In Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadasa Kaviraja Goswami, Lord Chaitanya states that it is a fortunate person who comes into contact with a bona fide
Uh,
spiritual master by the
this is the
grace
one
of
I was
Krishna.
thinking. Yeah, go ahead.
One who is serious about spiritual life is given by Krishna the intelligence to come in contact with a bona fide spiritual master, and then by the grace of the spiritual master, one becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness. In this way, the whole juris, jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness is directly under the spiritual energy, Krishna and the spiritual master. This is nothing to do with the material world. When we speak of Krishna, we refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with his many expansions. He is expanded by his plenary parts and parcels, his differentiated parts and parcels, and his different energies. Krishna, in other words, means everything and includes everything.
Mm.
Generally, however, we should understand Krishna to mean Krishna and his personal expansions. Krishna expands himself as Baladeva, Sankarsana, Vasudeva, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Rama, Nrasimha, and Varaha, as well as many other incarnations and innumerable Vishnu expansions. These are described in the Srimad Bhagavatam to be as numerous as the uncountable waves. So, Krishna includes all such expansions as well as his pure devotees. In the Brahma Samhita, it is stated that Krishna's expansions are all complete in eternity, blissfulness, and cognizance.
Beautiful. This is a very important aspect which we are discussing. That all the expansion of Krishna, when we say Krishna, we are directly connecting with Krishna. That's why when we chant the name of Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
We are directly associating with the Supreme Lord Krishna. and the beautiful form of Lord Ram. This is very important. This is not an ordinary thing which we are doing here. And that's why Nectar of Devotion is going to actually fine tune, is going to clear all these confusions and take us to the highest ecstasies of spiritual world. Who else is there can read today? Mamita Mataji or Veena Mataji or anybody wants to read?
Fine. Wonderful class.
No, no, Mataji, you want to read?
Oh, Prabhuji, I don't have the
No,
book.
no problem. Go ahead, Prabhuji, read.
Devotional services means to prosecute Krishna conscious activities that are favorable to the transcendental pleasure of the Supreme Lord Krishna, and any activities that are not favorable to the transcendental favor of the Lord cannot be accepted as devotional service. For example, great demons like Ravana, Kamsa, and
Hmm.
Hiranyakashipu were always thinking of Krishna, but they were thinking of him as their enemy. This sort of thinking cannot be accepted as bhakti or Krishna consciousness.
Very nice, very clear point. Bhakti means favorable, not unfavorable like Kamsa Ravana. Right? This is an important part. Go ahead,
The
Prabhu.
impersonalists sometimes misunderstand devotional service in such a way that they divide Krishna from his paraphernalia and pastimes. For example, the Bhagavad Gita is spoken on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and the impersonalist says that although Krishna is of interest, the battlefield of Kurukshetra isn't not. The devotees, however, also know that the battlefield of Kurukshetra by itself has nothing to do with their business, but in addiction they know that Krishna does not mean just Krishna alone. He is always with his associate and paraphernalia. For instance, if someone says give something to eat to the man with the weapons, the eating process is done by the man and not by the weapons. Similarly, in Krishna consciousness, a devotee may be interested in paraphernalia and locations such as battlefield of Kurukshetra that are associated with Krishna. But he is not concerned with simply by battlefield. He is concerned with Krishna, his speech, his instructions, etc. It is because Krishna is there. That's the battlefield is so important.
Anything which has a connection with Krishna is important for devotee. Anything which has no connection with Krishna is Maya, is useless, will not take us closer to Krishna. And that is how one eyes, like when I had difficulty reading things and I had to wear the glasses. What is the glasses? The glasses are actually that, just putting an example here, that they are actually giving us that realization that I want to, anything which is connected to Krishna is spirituality, rest all is all myth, it's all Maya. Naresh Prabhu, read the next one.
Yeah, this is the summary understanding of what Krishna consciousness is. Without this understanding, one is sure to misunderstand why the devotees are interested in the field of Kurukshetra. One who is interested in Krishna becomes interested in his different pastimes and activities.
Wonderful. Lot of times you see, oh, I like Prime Minister, I don't want to talk with anyone else, I just want to talk Prime Minister. That's not what we are referring here. When we connect with Krishna, everything in connection with Krishna is respectful. Krishna's tadiya, Krishna's paraphernalia, whether we are offering lamb, whether we are offering agarbatti, whether we are touching the paduka of the Lord, they have the same ability as the Lord itself. That's why it's important. You see, just now the Ramayana went, right. What did Lord Ram give to Bharat? You take my padukas, and that's how you will connect with me. Now, what is this? Once say, "Arey, these are shoes. Why are you giving me shoes?" That's the difference between mundane life and spiritual life. In spiritual life, everything in connection with Krishna or Tadiya, the paraphernalia, is considered to be as good as Krishna, even the places and even the pastimes of Krishna.
Yes.
That's very
One
important.
point I added.
Yes.
Sometimes I will touch Prabhupada's
Hmm.
like legs and I will pray. So I feel sometimes real legs I am touching
Yes, yes,
sometimes.
because it's
Holding
there.
one holding is the legs.
Very nice. That's how we should be. Unfortunately, our consciousness is so degraded. We accept on theoretical level that Radha Krishna are standing, Prabhupada is sitting. But when our senses, these spiritual senses are awakened rather than these material senses. When we touch the feet of Srila Prabhupada, we feel, no, he is really here. This is very important. Go ahead, Naresh Babu, read the next one.
Yeah, the definition of a pure devotee, as given by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, can be summarized thus: his service is favorable and is always in relation to Krishna. In order to keep the purity of such Krishna conscious activities, one must be freed from all material desires and philosophical speculation.
This is the
Any
problem. This is the problem. If we are not free from material desire, and what is philosophical speculation? Oh, Navratri is coming. Let me worship now Durga,
Mm.
and then I'll do this.
Religious
I'll do
stuff.
Krishna Bhakti also. But I've been doing this. I'll continue on that. Our connection with the material world never leaves. Not saying you shouldn't, but ultimately you have to understand, whom am I taking shelter of? If you're going to go in 10 direction, you will be nowhere. One has to understand that. Go ahead, Prabhu.
and any desire except for the service of the Lord is called material desire. And philosophical speculation refers to the sort of speculation that ultimately arrives at a conclusion of voidism or impersonalism. This conclusion is useless for a Krishna conscious person. Only rarely by philosophical speculation can one reach the conclusion of
Mhm.
worshipping Vasudeva Krishna. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita itself. The ultimate end of philosophical speculation then must be Krishna, with the understanding that Krishna is everything, the cause of all causes, and that one should therefore surrender unto him. If this ultimate goal is reached, then philosophical advancement is favorable, but if the conclusion of philosophical speculation is voidism or impersonalism, that is not bhakti.
Very important. What we are trying to do is, now we are going to refine what we are doing so that we can make it pure bhakti rather than contaminated bhakti. Go ahead, Prince.
Karma or fruitive activities are sometimes understood to be ritualistic activities. There are many persons who are very much attracted by the ritualistic activities described in the Vedas. But if one becomes attracted simply to ritualistic activities without understanding Krishna, his activities are unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Actually, Krishna consciousness can be based simply on hearing, chanting, remembering, etc., described in Srimad Bhagavatam, or nine different processes, beside which everything done is unfavorable to Krishna consciousness. Thus, one should always be guarding against fall downs.
Every time certain activity come, you should be able, I'm not able to, so I'm just describing for my own purification. Is this Krishna consciousness or is this not Krishna consciousness? Understanding, am I practicing bhakti or I am doing maya also? And we realize and refine it further. The more you are conscious of what activity is Krishna conscious, what is not, it will enable you to actually go more towards Krishna. Go ahead, bro.
Srila Rupa Goswami has also mentioned in this definition of bhakti the word jnana karmandi. This karmandi fruity work consists of activities that are unable to help one attain to pure devotional services. Many forms of so-called renunciation are also not favorable to Krishna conscious devotional services. Srila Rupa Goswami has also quoted a definition from Narada Pancharatra as follows: one should be free from all material designations, and by Krishna consciousness must be cleansed of all material contaminations. He should be restored to his pure identity, in which he engages his senses in the
Hmm.
service of the proprietor of the senses. So when our senses are engaged for actually proprietor of the senses, that is called the devotional service. In our conditional state, our senses are engaged in serving
Hmm.
their bodily demands. When the same senses are engaged in executing the order of Krishna, our activities are called bhakti. What are the lines?
So, whatever we study in Bhagavad Gita, we are summarizing beautifully and going even beyond that. Activities which are done for the pleasure of Krishna is bhakti, otherwise, it's just a sense gratification. Last paragraph.
As
Naresh Babu, you read last one.
Yeah. As long as one identifies himself as belonging to a certain family, a certain society, or a certain person, he is said to be covered with designations. When one is fully aware that he does not belong to any family, society, or country, but is eternally related to Krishna, he then realizes that his energy should be employed not in the interest of so called family, society, or country, but in the interest of Krishna. This is purity of purpose and the platform of pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness.
Very nice. I want to clarify this point. This does not mean you leave your family, you ignore your family and not taking care of society or your job. But like for an example, if you are going from Michigan to New Vrindavan, when you are going there, you fill the gas, you prepare your lunch, you prepare your breakfast, right? You fill water bottles. That is not the goal. That's the medium to reach to the goal. If I just spend my whole day and night figuring out, oh, let me fill the gas, let me fill the water, but I don't even drive, I don't even go there. So this becomes useless. Ultimate goal is to reach to New Vrindavan. These are all mediums helping, assisting us to on that part. Similar way, bhakti, Krishna is the goal. Everything else around material world, managing job, managing family, is to actually somehow harmonize in such a way so that we can reach the goal without much trouble. That is all about maintaining a family, society, or living in the country, doing your job, and so many other activities. They are just supplement to actually to the goal. They are assisting you to the goal, but they are not the goal. Unfortunately, the life we are living in, our goals are different than Krishna consciousness. We are trying to supplement Krishna consciousness with material activity, but we have to do it the other way. The goal is to reach Krishna, goal is the love of Krishna, and everything else has to complement to that. So very nice, we read the introduction today. Next week we will be starting chapter 1. Any questions or comments before we wind up?
Probably just one in the previous paragraphs in the last line, I noticed one thing like what is the it was mentioned like Krishna consciousness or pure devotional service. What is that probably difference? Krishna consciousness or pure devotional service. I think it's
Is this the line you're saying? This is the purity of purpose and platform of?
no, Prabhuji. It's no in the beginning. I think I mean, that's fine, Prabhuji. Just want to understand, like what is it, R condition or und condition, like in a programmatic way. If it should,
Read the line again for me, whatever you understood.
it's like it mentioned like we should either have like Krishna consciousness or pure devotional service. Some
Yes, Krishna consciousness, Prabhu, what happens is, I'll be very honest, all of us here are Mishra Bhakta. What is Mishra Bhakta means? I am practicing devotional service along with other activities.
that is true, Prabhu.
This is called mixed. This is not pure devotional service. Pure devotional, like gold. 24 karat gold is the gold, not at 18 karat, 16 karat, and all that. They may be called as gold, but they are mixed gold with other particles, other things. Right now, our situation is our bhakti is mixed. How it is mixed? Sometimes karma mixed. Like for an example, I'll give you one example of myself. If I donate nicely to the temple, I'll get a good salary. And it works for me. I'll be very honest. It worked for me all the time. If you keep certain percentage always giving for the donation, I had multiple times. I paid and I just got that money through other medium and I couldn't imagine. There was nothing could come, but it would happen. What kind of bhakti is that? Karma Mishra Bhakti. What is Karma Mishra Bhakti? Why am I donating? I'll get this money back. Am I making sense so far? This is Karma Mishra Bhakti. What is Jnana Mishra Bhakti?
Irrespective whether
Wow,
get
this
it
is
or not, I have
interesting.
to
Now, when I speak, Naresh Prabhu is going to tell me, Hare wow, Prabhu, you know so many stories. Oh, yeah, I've been studying for many years. Jnana Mishra Bhakti. What am I? Hare, glorification will come. The knowledge has to develop love for Krishna, not to make my head wearing a donkey, this thing and all that stuff. This is Jnana Mishra Bhakti, right? So we have to come to pure devotional service. Right now we are doing mixed devotional service, and how do we do that? Not an easy thing. And Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, a nectar of devotion, will lay down the path for us to go one step by step to reach to pure devotional service. Make sense, Prabhu? Did I answer your point?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, beautiful. Any other point, Momita Mataji, you want to add something?
Sorry, Prabhuji, I couldn't read because I don't have a very small screen. I can't
Yeah, sorry.
read
No,
it.
no, no. That's okay. I picked you because I'm like just wanted to see if everyone can read. Okay. Any other questions or comments before we end?
Uh, Prabhuji, like you said, pure devotional services,
Yeah.
how we and without initiations from gurus.
Hmm.
The most of them, I don't have any gurus. I'm just
Yes.
asking, like,
Yes.
how do we get there? How do we get initiations, and
Yes.
how the bhakti ras can happen from there and going to
Yes.
devotional services and all.
Very nice, Madhuri. Very nice question. First thing I want to clarify this thing. When we are reading Prabhupada's books and when we are trying to chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra,